Hey everyone, this is Derrick Broze with the Conscious Resistance Network, and today we are going to talk about the fight in California over vaccination laws and over health freedom, medical freedom. First, though, I want to remind you guys to bookmark theconsciousresistance.com. We are slowly but surely getting ready to launch phase 3 of this website since we launched in 2013, which means a complete new website redesign, hopefully more functional, more usable, and get some of you guys joining this, because I want you to know that for those who actually join and create a profile on here, you go here, log in, join, you are going to start to get exclusive content that won't be found anywhere else. It's still going to be available on the website, but as far as you want to be able to comment, you want to be able to be involved, you're going to have to create an account. And we do have somewhat of a little social network within here, ways you can communicate with each other and can share ideas. So please check that out and stay tuned for updates. In the meantime, I want you to follow us on Minds, Steam at DTube, join our Discord channel, join our text list. You can follow us at BitChute. You can follow us or support on Subscribestar or Patreon, and get our email newsletter, get our My Brave Botanicals free ounce of kratom through them. And of course, we are doing our crowdfunding campaign for 6 more days the rest of this month if you want to support the future of the Conscious Resistance Network. So in the last week, 2 weeks, really, years, but let's just be more recent. The last couple weeks, there's been a pretty, I'd say extensive battle going on between parents and those who believe in medical freedom and health freedom, and California's governor, as well as basically the statists in California, and I mean that in the truest sense, the statists and the state government who are trying to force mandatory vaccinations and remove exemptions on people. This is happening in California and in New York, and I'm here in Texas, specifically in Houston. There are lots of people moving from those places because of the vaccination laws, and this is one good example. California Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom signed 2 bills that limit medical exemptions for vaccines of school children. Under SB 276, California's Department of Public Health would investigate medical exemptions from doctors who granted 5 or more in a year. So, controlling, monitoring, limiting the amount of exemptions a doctor can issue in a single year, and of course punishing those who go over that limit. This bill was first introduced by Democratic State Senator Richard Pan in February and was approved by the legislature last week. Newsom also signed SB 714, a companion bill which includes changes proposed by him, such as, quote, allowing a child who has a medical exemption issued before January 1st, 2020 to be allowed to continue until the child enrolls in the next grade span. So that means if your kid was exempted you're in 2nd grade, well, then he can do that until he goes to junior high. And then if he did it in junior high, then he can do that until he goes to high school. And at which point, if you want to keep him in school, they will be required to get a vaccination. So, it's just delaying the inevitable if you're going to keep him in that system. Newsom's approval of the stricter regulations comes a week after health officials in New York said a massive measles outbreak that spread in Brooklyn since last October has come to an end, according to them. So this is part of the ongoing conversation of how quick can we remove philosophical, personal, and religious exemptions from people. That's really what it comes down to. Is this is all just piecemeal, step by step, taking away people's freedoms to decide how they want to medicate. That's really what it comes down to. Now, interesting here, it briefly mentions, just very briefly, the signing of the bills, which takes effect January 1st, 2020, came as anti-vaccination activists protested the legislation on Monday in Sacramento, arguing the new laws are an overreach by the state on medical problems that cannot be completely prevented by vaccinations. Just one little sentence there out of the whole article that explains that, there's some opposition and here's what they believe, but what else should we expect? Here's just some short clips from Del Bigtree's channel, The High Wire, about the actions in California. This was September 9th, so this is a day before he signed the bill. This is just in the last couple weeks, but you can kind of see there's lots of cops. I've been seeing Facebook videos because there's certain parents and people I've started to follow and keep up with just to kind of monitor the situation and see what's going on. Lots of cops. I know there were parents who were arrested for trying to block certain entryways into the Capitol. They, in some cases, they've been getting, fairly aggressive because they believe, and I think they're right, that this is an infringement upon their ability to parent their children and to, own their own bodies and for their children to make their own decisions. Instead, this is the force of the state coming in. So these parents from across the state of California and elsewhere are coming together to fight this, and they've been gathering and Sacramento and other places to continue to raise awareness about this. So that's just a little video clip. Now, the interesting thing, though, is that this newest bill, the one we were just talking about, SB 276, which is removing medical exemptions, it comes after a couple of years ago when California had passed another bill which removed personal exemptions. And you can see this article from the LA Times saying that after California got rid of personal exemptions for vaccines, medical exemptions went way up. And this was kind of foreshadowing what was coming, because right here, this is in September 2017 by a staff writer at the LA Times, and it basically says that even though California eliminated personal belief exemptions, a new study shows that now medical exemptions are sharply on the rise. And this was published in the Journal of American Medical Association, JAMA. And it says that some parents who don't want to vaccinate their children may have found doctors willing to give medical exemptions to students, a potential trend that may undercut the collective protection against contagious diseases that the state law sought to bolster, otherwise known as herd immunity. So California Senate Bill 277, passed in 2015, did away with personal belief exemptions. So that was back in 2015, personal beliefs gone. Now we're here in 2019, medical exemptions essentially gone. The doctor can only issue 5 a year, and after that, he has to be checked out by the state authorities. Of course, this is just the state getting further involved and entrenched in parents' lives. Now, I did find at least one really awesome article, and I recommend you guys follow this website, this outlet, The Conversation, academic rigor, journalistic flair, and it usually is pretty spot on. I'm not going to say I agree with everything on the website, but they feature pieces like this that you won't really see in the mainstream. This is written by Catherine Drabiak, assistant professor, University of South Florida. It says, California law to restrict medical vaccine exemptions raises thorny questions over control. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I just want to read a couple of sections here. Under Public Health, Medicine, and Parents, it says, prior to the enactment of SB 276, which is the new law, which is the law that just got passed in California, it said state law previously permitted physicians to issue medical exemptions based on their independent medical judgment. Basically, you and your doctor have a relationship. They decide after studying you and your family's health what they think is best. But now the new law creates a system to monitor and flag medical exemptions overseen by the California Department of Public Health. If the state public health officer judges the exemption is, quote, inappropriate, which again, the state gets to decide what that means, the state public official can revoke the medical exemption. This is highly unusual, if not unique. So listen to that again. If a state public health officer from the California Department of Public Health, not your doctor, says that the exemption that your child was issued is inappropriate, they can revoke it. Unlike other state public health measures, California's new law provides the state health department authority to directly intervene in patient care decisions and override physicians' discretion. It sets a precedent that states can condition important individual rights on whether people follow state mandates for medical care. So think about that, and she gives a little example here. Public health agencies provide a crucial and complementary role to medical providers. This new authority expands the state's role. It does so by allowing the State Department of Public Health to intervene in patient care managed by another physician. This typically is limited to very specific circumstances. She says also, there are other cases where public health agencies have expanded their scope and blurred the line between public health and patient care in an attempt to control epidemics. These kind of measures have been controversial. In 2006, New York City's Department of Health and Mental Hygiene enacted the Diabetes Registry, which tracks individual patients and physicians and contacts, both directly with suggestions for disease management. Even though diabetes is not a communicable disease, it exerts substantial impact on society, from medical costs and employee productivity. When this program began, it was highly controversial, and debated. Another one is prescription drug monitoring databases. And basically they said, despite significant public impact, the state could not override physician discretion or compel patients to take a particular medication in either case. In my opinion, to order a specific treatment oversteps the role of public health between authorities and undermines the physician-patient relationship. Moreover, this violates long-standing principles of informed consent and patient autonomy. And I think that pretty much says it all, and there's more good stuff here to read. Basically talking about parents and then conditional rights and what that means. I'll read a little more. It says, Schools serve as a nexus for public health issues in addition to communicable diseases. Schools may enact disciplinary interventions or public health information to promote student welfare and safety. However, the principles behind removing personal belief exemptions go much further. These laws determine that protecting student health and welfare requires students to undergo preventative medical interventions in order to attend school. This reasoning would give states power to decide certain students should take hormone contraceptives to prevent teen pregnancies, receive opioid antagonist medications to prevent addiction, or use Ritalin to decrease classroom disruption. Conditioning the right to attend school with whether students comply with a medical intervention does not constitute much of a choice. Under the law, parents have authority to make medical decisions for their parents. The state has only a very narrow authority to intrude into that parent-child relationship. And she says, conferring this power to the state also impacts parents' fundamental rights to retain custody of their children. In 2019, for an example, an Ohio court removed a teenage child from his parents based on the parents' disagreement with the physician over how to treat the child's gender dysphoria. So that sounds like maybe the kid was thinking he or she is transgender, and they wanted to give him hormones, and the parents disagreed, or vice versa. They didn't want to give him hormones, and the doctor said they should give him hormones. But either way, the court removed the child from the parents, and that's, this is what's known as medical kidnapping. And finally, she says, no matter how well-intentioned the public health goal, lawmakers and health professionals must assess the threshold question of whether the state's actions have exceeded legal and ethical limits of power. When we make certain rights conditional based on a notion of public good, this places substantial authority in the state to decide under what circumstances to limit these rights. We've seen cases of mistakes with the eugenics movement, internment camps, Guantanamo Bay torture, and the forcible removal of Native American children from the families, all in the name of public necessity. As a society, we have a duty to question this balance of power. So, really awesome. I recommend reading the whole thing yourself. And just to show you how, like I said, that this website I think is good. They offer different opinions, but just to keep going, they are no conspiracy theorist friendly site. Anti-vax mothers have outsized voice on social media. Conspiracy theories and fear of needles contribute to vaccine hesitancy. So, obviously they think that questions about vaccines are conspiracies, but they at least allow somebody to publish a piece that questions the morality and the ethics of the whole situation, as well as the balance of power between individual liberty and state power. So I think this piece is worth reading and worth sharing with your friends. I'll include it in the link below. This one, though, from the LA Times, the hidden battle over California's new vaccine law. And this is kind of an interesting one, but it's still coming from that mainstream perspective. And I just want to show you this 1 second here, this look at this aspect. So they're describing the battle between the governor and the quote anti-vaxxers and how the battle was won. And just this little section here, it says the California Medical Association, the main sponsor of the bill, paid Republican strategist Mike Madrid to lead a social media campaign in July aimed at boosting pro-vaccine messages on social media, recruiting parents to join into it. He said, the goal was to change the narrative. We had to show the loud voices were a fringe movement. So there they show that they're kind of going after the activists. And then the other thing here is they show that they pretty much describe how they tried to sneak this bill through before the activists could do anything about it. And the LA Times is totally writing this, and this is how this is what you call a narrative. The narrative here we're supposed to believe is that the state, the governor, the California government are the good guys, and those pesky parents with their questions are the bad guys. And so look at the way they write this. Few in the Capitol expected a vote on SB 276. When the assembly took it up late in the day, they returned to Sacramento after the holiday weekend. But assembly leaders quietly planned for a quick vote that would send the bill back to the Senate for final approval before protesters amassed in the chamber's visitor gallery. It says, all of the rush was around the fact that we believed they would try to shut down the legislative session, John Casey, spokesman for Assembly Speaker Anthony Rendon, said. So basically they're like, we had to rush it through because we thought those protesters might try to come shut it down with their concerns and their loud noise and their protesting. But thankfully, we were able to sneak this bill in really quickly and get it done. It was quite a fight, and here's the whole story, blah, 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 blah. I mean, there's a narrative that's being sold to us everywhere. And most of the media, if they're even talking about this battle, these parents that are out there protesting and, putting their lives out there and taking time off work and fighting with the cops. And, most of these people are soccer mom types, but they're getting out there and they're trying to wake people up to this fact. And it's happening in New York, it's happening in California. People are moving to Texas to escape it. And thankfully, at least this one woman and the conversation and the editor were willing to publish this. I recommend everyone sharing this one. Find a good quote in there, share it on your favorite social media, get people to start thinking about the questions of the ethics and the morality behind this whole situation. And I think that's where I'm going to leave it, guys. Again, think about this. Think about where we're headed. Get your friends, maybe talk about the morality. Don't focus so much on the science aspect of it, because if they're convinced science is the new God, they're not going to listen, but maybe they can understand the morality about it. I also think key to this conversation is to attack the herd immunity argument, which I am doing research on myself and will be revealing soon. So yeah, check out those areas. Let's keep researching. Let's keep sharing knowledge together. Please do sign up to join our Discord channel, because once these videos end, there's lots of conversation over there. You can find that link below the video. And of course, if you want to support the Conscious Resistance Network, I recommend you invest into our future and help us keep doing these reports. That's it, guys. Until next time, remember, you are powerful, you are beautiful, and you are free. Peace.